Hi there, welcome to GrainTV. I'm Kevin McNew. It's Wednesday, January 20th. We had a mixed day in grains. Let's take a look at the Grain Edge trading platform and see where we closed. In Chicago, beans, a leader to the downside, giving up yesterday's 5-cent gain to give it up by 9.5 cents a bushel. Wheat following lower on a 3-cent decline. And corn defying gravity, actually increasing 1 cent a bushel. News today was pretty light in terms of grain, although we did have some supportive export sales announced by USDA this morning. That's 2 mornings in a row. This morning's export deal was 243,000 metric tons to Mexico. Yesterday was 110,000 metric tons to unknown. So I think that's been helping support the corn market a bit. The other thing that's sort of supportive in the short run is there has been an uptick in loan activity through USDA by farmers. What that suggests is that farmers are looking for short-term loans to potentially buy their inputs for 2016 versus marketing cash grain at these somewhat low prices. But that is a short-term fix for farmers and probably not supportive for the markets in the long term. That grain eventually has to find its way to the marketplace. Other news, there has been a slight uptick in tender activity. We've seen some South Korea feed manufacturers buying feed wheat and buying corn. That feed wheat coming out of Argentina. The corn was of optional origin, unlikely to come from the U.S. The problem the corn market has is it continues to go higher is there's no shortage of corn in the world, there's no shortage of feed grains in the world, and so it seems unlikely that we can sustain this somewhat supportive market condition that we find ourselves in the last 2 days. The real news of today, though, was the shockingly lower stock market and crude oil market. We had crude oil off as much as $2 a barrel today, down to the $26 range. Before, we sort of actually upticked higher, settling somewhere around $29. Stocks are still trading now, but are actually starting to move into positive territory. The NASDAQ is actually in positive territory, and the S&P index has shaved its losses from a 3.5% loss to only a 0.5% loss as we get closer to the end of trading. So what that means is we have a lot of global uncertainty right now. Crude is just really sort of filtering through the negative fundamentals in crude, and the negative impact lower crude prices is filtering into the general economy, and it makes me cautious about any sort of upside momentum for the grain market. We've had corn that sort of held up in these sort of down days, but I'm not sure how much longer we can do so. Let's take a look at the charts. Yesterday we talked in soybeans about this pivotal 881 mark, which is around where we closed. It was also a key point back to the USDA report on January 12th, where we traded as high as 881 on that USDA report day. So we closed below it today, sharply lower below it. We started the day somewhere around it, but didn't even give it a second thought. So in my opinion, this means we're probably going to continue to grind lower as we took out that 881 support level. In corn, a somewhat different animal. Our support from that USDA report is around 364, and you can see at the up end of this range, we are around 370, where we closed today at 369 and a quarter. We've taken 2 runs at that 370 mark. Yesterday, we took a run at it. Today, we took a run at it earlier in the day and backed off, and then ended the day at it. So be aware of that 370 mark on March futures. If we can close above it or get above it in any sort of meaningful fashion, then that would be, indicative of a potential further increase in prices. On the downside, we're looking at that 364 mark as sort of an underlying support. So watch those 2 numbers, 364 and 370 on March corn. Tomorrow we've got EIA ethanol numbers. We also have in crude, if you're watching the crude market, we'll have the EIA crude stocks number. We're expecting to see stocks of crude continue to rise, and that could have big ramifications for the crude market. That's all we got today. Please take a look at us online at grainhedge.com, or if you have any questions, visit us or give us a call, 877-472-4607.